Helene Muscat in front. Green Birdie's running on gamely. Jackpot Delight back to the inside. Sumion throwing everything at Jackpot Delight. He's after Helene Muscat. Helene Muscat ahead in front, and Helene Muscat wins the Derby. Tony Cruz, who was denied victory in the last stride in last year's edition with Floral Pegasus, he strikes back in 2008. A four-pronged attack, and the favourite has won it, Helene Muscat.
Helene Muscat there winning the 2008 edition of the Hong Kong Derby for Tony Cruz, who that year, like John Moore does this year, has saddled 4 runners in the race.
Rather timely as well that Felix Kutzi's only recently announced his retirement as well. Very popular jockey here and a winner of several derbies, of course, lucky owners as well. So, yeah, that will certainly go down as one of the greats in recent times.
So can the John Moore juggernaut be stopped this year? He's got the weight in numbers and class, and as proven in the past 10 editions of the Hong Kong Derby, Darren, horses have to be absolutely on their A game to win this race. The ratings tell the story. They've got to rate 100 or more going into the Derby to be effective.
And these two horses this year have been building up the points for a long time, and so we go back to Lucky Owners, who was rated, I think, about 125 plus when he went in to win the Derby. He probably had the best preparation of any horse, but these two, Able Friend and Designs on Rome, are very similar. I think we saw last year Akeed Mafid sort of gained his points very late when he won the Class 1, only a few weeks leading up. But who can beat the John Moore horses? I think only extreme bad luck, to be honest, because when we go back and watch that Classic Cup again, nothing could beat those two horses, seriously. I think it's all about who can run third and fourth.
Well, it's fair to say that a number of contenders aren't at their best going into the Derby. The likes of Dr. Good Habit, All You Wish and Lucky 88 have all had interrupted campaigns, injury issues, and they all trialled recently. The most eye-catching performance probably from All You Wish to run third, Darren, and that boy Douglas White's hopes a little going into the Derby.
He's a very seasoned 4-year-old, All You Wish, and I thought the trial here was very encouraging. Douglas just gets into him a little bit here inside the final furlong, and the horse closes off really well. Up in front, Dr. Good Habit in the red colours, he's gone well enough, but this is only his second run back from knee surgery in July, and the way he just weakened out the last 100 metres in the Classic Cup, it just looks as though it's all a rush against time for Dr. Good Habit, and he doesn't even look like he'll be getting a soft lead in the race on Sunday. There's a lot of speed there, so I find it hard to rate Dr. Good Habit now, but certainly All You Wish. But Dibiani, he really is the interesting runner of the race, because he does look to be an out-and-out stayer.
And he's one of 2 horses that Michael Chang will saddle in this year's Derby. He's never had a runner in the Derby, let alone 2, and Dibiani is certainly shaping as the best of those.
Until now, local trainer Michael Chang has never had a BMW Hong Kong Derby representative. This year, not only does he have his first, he has 2 runners, Dibiani and Tableau.
I've been training in Hong Kong 9 years. First time I have a runner in the Derby. Actually, I got 2 this year. Yeah, maybe try to surprise everyone.
The horse most capable of causing that surprise in a hot field is Chang's Irish import, Dibiani. He goes into the Derby off a highly unusual preparation. Last week, our cameras followed the little dark brown gelding and Zach Purton very closely through a crucial turf trial over a mile at Sha Tin, in which he was victorious.
It was all he needed, really. Michael just wanted me to sit out the back and make sure he was switched off and just let him come through under his own steam without making him do too much. He's got the form to run the distance. That's not a worry at all. Obviously, barriers are going to be very important. Pace of the race is going to be crucial, but I'm more comfortable with him now than what I was at his last start. If the pace is going to be slow, because I feel as if he's starting to get the hang of it now and starting to drop a little bit more, which is what I want, because quite often in these derbies they do tend to go very slow for the first half of the race, and you know, now that I've ridden him in this trial today, I'm comfortable that he should be able to adapt to that. And you know, his best asset, I think, is his turn of foot. He's got a really, really good 200-metre sprint on him, and then he can sustain his run to the line. So You know, if they do go slow, it's not going to be the end of the world. If they run along, you know, it'll probably be a little bit more beneficial for us.
Dibiani raced to the lead from Tableau. Ongoing Volatility wider out, but Dibiani, in preparation for the Derby, comes on to win the trial from Ongoing Volatility and Tableau.
When trained in Ireland, Dibiani showed his staying prowess with a stakes win over 2,200 metres at his final start before being shipped to Hong Kong. Hong Kong's current leading jockey has been along for the ride on Dibiani right from day one and knows better than anyone what the horse is capable of doing on D-Day.
Yeah, well, I think he's a top 3 chance at least. It's just going to be interesting as to whether Able Friend can run the distance. Obviously, it's going to depend on how the races run. We've seen last start he has got that chink in his armour if you do make him do a little bit a long way out, and Tommy rode a good race, and I can see him doing the same thing again. And if he does that, I'm going to be a top 2 chance, and then it'll be just up to Designs on Rome and myself to fight it out, and we'll see how we go. But obviously, I've got a lot of respect for Designs on Rome and Able Friend. They're both going to be really hard to beat, but you know, I think my bloke's up to the task, and it's just going to come down to lucky running on the day.
The Hong Kong Derby is a major race that the young Australian rider has yet to win. And whilst he acknowledges it will be hard to beat the Moore team in this year's edition, he's just happy to be part of all the action.
Unfortunately, since I've been here every year, I've just never had a chance in the Derby. It's been quite uncanny. It's a hard race to get the right ride in. You've got to get on the right horse at the right time coming through, and unfortunately I haven't been able to do that. But this year I've got a good chance, and hopefully I can make the most of it.
So, Darren, can you see a maidener, the likes of Dibiani, winning the Derby this year? It was an impressive trial, wasn't it?
Well, if there's going to be an upset, I think he'd be capable in the sense that there's no doubt about him staying the trip. So that's in his favour. And I do think the pace in this race, I know Zach thought that they don't generally go hard in derbies, and that is quite often the case, but this year we do have up to 4 runners capable of being up on the speed, so I just thought the pace would be fairly genuine to give him a real chance. And
Tableau brings very good form from France to Hong Kong, but hasn't set the world on fire here just yet.
Well, I get the impression he's going to be one of the on-pace runners as well, which surprises me a little bit. They rode him handy in the trial and he didn't really see it out, and he coursed very deep. It might be all happening very quickly for him. I thought at his very first start here that Tableau would sort of progress pretty quickly, but it seems as though he's plateaued a little bit and might just take a bit more time. OK.
To some of the other chances outside of Moore's 4, Flame Hero, Beauty Flame, Mr Nocky and Travel Brother all raced against each other recently in Class 2.
Well, this Flame Hero just keeps going up a notch, and Christophe Soumillon booked for the ride. This day, I thought Beauty Flame was very well rated in the lead, and Douglas White was just in a stalking position, and it did take Flame Hero the whole length of the straight before he could run down Beauty Flame. But they've paid a late entry fee for Flame Hero to go into the race. I think Mr Nocky's run really well, and Travel Brother closing off late. I think these are all horses with genuine chances to run the frame. And initially I was looking at Beauty Flame thinking he would lead, but the more I look at it now with Tableau there and Bullish Boy, he's a very quick horse as well. Perhaps Beauty Flame won't be getting the easy lead that I first thought like he did that day.
Tony Cruz certainly knows how to win derbies. Can he with this pair, Beauty Flame and Bullish Boy?
I'm very happy with his lead up to this race. All his races has improved, and he'll be in peak condition for this race now.
You've generally been rolling forward over the shorter distances, Tony. Expect much the same here in the Derby?
Yes, very much the same kind of style of riding. I have the other horse called Bullish Boy, sorry. Bullish Boy and probably Dr. Good Habit. These are the 2 fastest ones in the race. I think Beauty Flame would take a sit right behind the leaders, you know.
Obviously they got a little bit to find. Designs on Rome and Able Friend going to be hard to beat, but you know, your guys are still improving.
Mine with this 2,000 meters is a perfect distance for him. He's a horse that's bred to run the 2,000, and I'm very happy with this 2,000 meters. That's why we bought him for a chance to run the Derby of this horse. You know, he's not a miler. He's definitely a 2,000 meter horse, so he's in for a shot.
Last year's Derby winning stable, the Richard Gibson yard, with an outsider in the race this year, Weifeng Express, but he justifiably makes his way into the field with very good form in lower grade.
Well, I think they've done well to get him into a Hong Kong Derby. He arrived here with only 4 starts in the UK, hadn't actually won a race there. So, you know, a year later to be in a Hong Kong Derby off a rating of 85 is a good training performance. He's drawn the rails. Tyngland knows him quite well. And I think he might have a chance for 4th or 5th prize money there. But as we've seen, you've got to have somewhat of a rating point behind you, and off 85 he really does face an uphill battle.
Most interesting now to get the thoughts of Jenny Chapman, our paddock expert. She keenly observes the horses week in, week out at the races, and has been particularly keenly observing the Derby contenders for this year. Let's get her thoughts now.
Actually, there's some really lovely horses this year, I've got to say. The one that has just kept on progressing, and it's probably a late entry into the Derby, is Flame Hero, who's done everything right so far. He's just a beautiful horse, and he impresses me every time he comes into the parade. So he's one of them. I thought Secret Sham has paraded really well in every parade that I've seen him. He's a beautiful horse as well. He's got a fantastic attitude. He looks like a Derby horse as well. Whether or not he's good enough or he'll run the distance is probably a bit of a query, but he's impressed me with his parade. Horse like Travel Brother, whether or not he's quite ready yet, I'm not sure, but he's an entire, he's colt going into it, and he's paraded really well, and he sort of looks to me like in time he's going to be a fairly nice stayer as well. Of the obvious ones, Designs on Rome, and also Able Friend. Able Friend to me looks like more, you know, your solid, strong, classy 1600 metre horse. Designs on Rome, a fantastic stayer. He looks like he just relishes the ground, especially when he got over it last start as well. So I think he's the obvious favourite, and he should be hard to beat. It's interesting because, you know, in the past there's been horses like Makapura Star, Super Saturn, Viva Bataka, Vengeance of Rain, Fei Fei, all those sort of horses that have very similar traits. They're you know, long, sort of scopy type of horses. They've got a little bit more height than normal, and they've got good attitudes. So that's sort of the horses that I've been looking for as far as Derby horses go, but there is no normal sort of Derby horse either. Obviously last year's Key Mafid, he's a big, strong, bulky horse, and he was able to do it. He's an entire as well. And of course, years ago we had a mare called Elegant Fashion, who was just an enormous, long individual, and she was almost very masculine looking as well. And she was a magnificent mare too. So there's no real rule, but those horses that I spoke about before, I'd probably go with those.
Jenny Chapman there talking about the key attributes that make a Hong Kong Derby winner. Well, how do you see the race this year, Darren? In all the years you've called derbies, how does this field stack up quality-wise?
When we had the running of the Classic Mile, I wasn't so certain, but after the Classic Cup, I feel like I've got no choice but to tip Designs on Rome as the winner of this year's Derby over Able Friend. But I dare say that Moreira won't be making the move as early as he did last time, and the margin between the pair could be a lot closer this time. And I think Dibiani will run home into 3rd. So that would be my order of preference for this year's Derby.
Okay, I'm an Able Friend fan. Of course, not much between the two there. One apiece in the Group 1 showdowns in the 4-year-old series at the moment. But Able Friend for mine, I think Joe Moreira learned a great deal tactically out of the Classic Cup last start, and will be aiming to make amends in the Derby. Really looking forward to the race. Bills has a bit of a 2-horse war this year, but we shouldn't be overlooking some of the outsiders in the race. A roughie from you, Darren?
Best roughie would be Flame Hero, who should be reasonable odds. And also worth noting that Designs on Rome, I believe, has been entered already for the Singapore Airlines Cup as well, over 2,000 metres there. So it's an early sort of faith in his ability from trainer John Moore. Okay,
looking forward to a great race, the 2014 BMW Hong Kong Derby. Darren, good calling on the day.
Thanks, Joe.
Hope you enjoyed the show. Join us for the coverage on Sunday.
But Able Friend is roaring away in the Classic Mile. Joe Moreira strikes in the Classic Mile. Designs on Rome is coming on the outside. Designs on Rome pulls away from Able Friend.
Flame Hero putting his head in front at the right time, and Flame Hero
is going to lead all the way from Ossay. Beauty Flame from Cabayan, and the favourite All You Wish hits the lead from Solar Great.
Dibiani in preparation for the Derby